Okay, so as the title says, today we're going to be discussing, in my opinion, the top 10 best rappers slash most influential rappers of the 2010s. So, before I start, this is my opinion. That's it. I mean, your opinion might be different, and that's okay. So, let's just get into it. But first, I need to I'm just going to speak about how I ranked these map people. So, the first thing I considered was how good they were really, and how much they grew over the decade, and how much they inspired other people to grow over the decade. And the other thing I considered was how influential they were. So that does mean how popular and how many people they influenced. It's like like Drake is a great example of that. He was very influential during the 2010s, and so on and so forth. So, starting off at numero 10, we've got A$AP Rocky. Now, A$AP Rocky might seem like a weird choice to some. I know it might not have been expected, but here it is anyway. So, A$AP Rocky has had good number of hits, I guess, in the last decade, and he's definitely influenced a lot. He's really helped to bring back boom bap, and has definitely changed stylistically from things like peso to tracks from testing, like distorted records or OG Beeper, things like that. And he has been growing, and a lot of people have been following him as he grew, and more or less copying that and growing off of it. And he really did help to bring back some of the older sound, and that's why I think A$AP Rocky really deserves the spot. There are sure plenty of other people, but this one really, I think he did his work for this. Number 9, Travis Scott. Now, I know I could have put him higher up on this list, but I really do think there were others that did more than him. Now, Travis Scott is definitely someone who's been doing something different over the years, and by something different, I mean his kind of dreamy, heavily auto-tuned voice is something that influenced a lot of people. I think of like Playboi Carti could have probably been somewhat influenced by that, and it's just become such a popular sound nowadays. Travis really is very unique when it comes to rap in general, and he really did change the scene permanently and made very enjoyable music. However, I don't feel like his music was ever as thought-provoking or moving, which is not that important, but when it comes to being the best, at some point you have to start thinking about that. It's okay to start as ignorant as you can possibly be, but eventually you should be able to grow beyond that if you ever wish to become one of the greats. And I think Travis Scott has done that, but just not as much as the others higher up here. As you can see, number 8, we've got Pop Smoke. Again, might seem like a weird choice, but let's be honest here. He did more to the game in 1 year than most people have done in their entire careers. He's really brought back NY Drill. He was one of the people who was right there at the beginning when it started to make its comeback, or started to make its birth, I guess. Chicago Drill is the one that made a comeback. But he really was a defining figure of New York Drill. And he really was able, in 1 year, such a short time, to be conscious and to be moving. And he did make a lot of really influential and popular tracks like Get Back Dior. And Dior was nominated for a couple Grammys. He's a 1-year-old artist. And I would probably put him even higher up, but sadly he'll never be able to grow beyond that, so R.I.P. Pop Smoke. Now, number 7, J. Cole. Now, I know that J. Cole fans are going to eat me alive because they are scary people, but I feel I'm gonna speak a little bit first. All right, hear me out. So J. Cole, while he has been really influential and just has built such a massive cult fan base, he's always made consistently good music no matter what it was. And he was one of the founders of Dreamville, which is one of the largest rap labels right now, and is proud to boast people like JID. But my issue with J. Cole here is I feel like he's not really broken any ceilings. he's kind of just been the best at what he does, but he's never gone above and beyond. And I feel like that's not a bad thing. It's very fun to listen to it, but it's okay. Yes, I do have chonky headphones because why not? I kind of assumed they would be less chonky, but whatever. They're nice headphones anyway. But yeah, that's all I have to say on J. Cole. I know that a lot of people will say that he's like, oh, best rapper ever, but I do think there was a lot of room for him to improve. I think if he did try something new and, like I said, broken some amount of ceilings, I would probably feel different about that. But sadly, I don't. Number 6, we've got Joey Badass. So Joey Badass recently has kind of become because of his actions outside of music, such as saying that masks are like slavery and stuff. But I'm gonna try and separate the art from the artist here. So if not, he's maybe not the most popular person. He's only got somewhere around, I think, 2 million or so monthly listeners. He still is like one of the best rhymers or lyricists or whatever of all time. And he's always made good music. He's been one of the people out of Brooklyn, especially in the early 2010s, that really brought back that sound from MF Doom, things like that. And he's still incredibly influential because he's done so much unique work compared to other maybe popular rappers. He's done so much thoughtful work, but he's maybe never been the most popular or reached the most people, which isn't that bad of a thing, I'd say. But it's whatever. So if you think of like 1999 when it first came out was only really popular within Brooklyn, but in recent years especially, it's really come into the mainstream, and it's one of his best projects, I'd say, or the best project. The other ones are okay, but if you release more music, I would say differently. Number 5, we've got Mac Miller. Now, Mr. Mac Miller, I have a lot of things to say about him, and by a lot, I mean not a lot. Okay, so I would say he definitely owned the early 2010s. He was one of Kendrick Lamar's most big collaborators, and they always made really good music together. And I think he was just kind of having fun with his career at that point, and which is a good thing. He was making fun music for fun people, and he was very careless and reckless. But as he grew, he became more introspective when you think of circles and things like that. And I think that's just the epitome of what's a good artist, because he was able to start somewhere, and the start was a good start. But he knew that it wasn't going to be very long lasting, so he grew on it and became more, introspective, and he grew beyond where he started, which I know a lot of people haven't done, and that's why they won't last long. But otherwise, Mac Miller has had a good couple hits, especially if you think of his second to latest album, and I think he could have made probably even better music now. Sadly, he overdosed right in 2018, but if he didn't, he probably would have just gone above and beyond. He would really be on the same level as someone like Kendrick Lamar or like Kanye West or something like that. And I truly believe that could have been what happened. Sadly, he did not. So, okay, number 4, we've got Tyler, the Creator. So, Tyler, the Creator has really had a cult fan base, especially if you think of his earlier days, not so much now, when he was just racist and homophobic for the sake of being racist and homophobic. He grew that cult fan base. He could have gotten into Double XL, but he didn't, because it wouldn't be a good move for that company because of the type of person he was. And he's just been so influential as that kind of person. When you think of his older music, he could be very thoughtful if he wanted to, but I don't think that was what he was interested in. And that's okay for him, because he really did move forward from that. He was also a lead part in Odd Future, which is one of the decade's largest groups, although it's mostly gone now. And yeah, he's become much more reflective. I would say he's actually transitioned to more of like a half R&B kind of tone. Whereas Nicki Minaj, she's not on the list. I'm sorry. I feel like people nowadays give her way too much credit. I'm gonna be honest. So, yeah, that's what I'd say about that. So, like I do think that nowadays he's just so much different than he was before. Nice, I have 3 viewers. It's like my best of all time. But yeah, that's why I put him all the way up here, and I think he has been one of the most influential artists of our decade. Got Drake. Now, Drake, while he might be somewhat cringy from time to time, you can't deny has been a massive hit factory over the years. When you think about it, in 2014, everyone was bumping One Dance, okay? Everyone was in their car just, because that was such a influential and popular song at the time. And when you think about it, if you think about all the hits of the 2010s, I would say that about 25 to 50% of them have been from Drake. Think about like One Dance, Passion Fruit, Hotline Bling, etc. He's just made so much popular music. Maybe not all of it is good, let's be honest here. But the Elon Musk rap, I'll think about that. That's an interesting opinion. But yeah, he's just been so incredibly popular and just so influential over the years. And I will say, if you've ever listened to one of his albums, you'll know that he's very hit or miss. He's said some very questionable things in his music multiple times. But, I like to ignore that and just focus on the good stuff. Now Kanye West, I think Jay-Z said this beautifully in some podcast. Kanye West was the person to try everything new so everyone else wouldn't have to. He was the pioneer for almost every big trend. If you think of 808s, he started that. If you think of these kind of jazzy sampled beats, he started that. And like especially his beats, when you think about how he sampled, Tyler the Creator would have never existed if not for that. Kendrick Lamar, to a certain extent, wouldn't have existed. J. Cole wouldn't have existed. Anyone who uses that kind of jazzy sample, there's a category called podcasts. Okay, I'll have to look into that. Let me see. I didn't know this. Oh my god, that's insane. Okay, done. So, as I was saying, he's been trying everything new, and he's just made it so he's walked so everyone else could run. And nowadays he's just kind of, I feel bad for him because he does have some amount of bipolar and things like that. But back in the day, he was just unafraid to say anything he wanted. He was very true to himself. And I think that's why he was influential both as a person and as an artist. And yeah, he did really just walk so others could run. Alright, now number one, if you know me, this won't be a surprise. Kendrick Lamar. Eminem? No, Eminem, I'm gonna be honest, is kind of bad. Okay? Nowadays he's kind of bad. But back in the day, he was really good. Like 90s, he was the guy. He was up there with Tupac and Biggie. But nowadays, he's just kind of cringy. I'll be honest. He makes way too many dad jokes for my liking. So, Kendrick Lamar has made very moving music. Yeah, it was his Slim Shady days were his peak for sure. Like when you think about To Pimp a Butterfly, it was released just weeks before some of the BLM riots that happened in 2015, 2016. And his music really spoke to a lot of people around that time because it was so relevant to the thing that was happening. And in general, when you think of Good Kid, Mad City, or Damn to an extent, it's just been to bring light to things, the not so pretty things that happen in society that people don't pay attention to. And he's been that person to shed light on such topics through his music and to influence people through his music. And I think it's kind of maybe not an insult, but I would say he's more of an artist than he's a rapper, really. And he, while he might be not releasing music anymore, I'll say it, I don't think he's going to. I think he's definitely made his mark. He's done what he set out to do. And if you think about his past music, there's actually a whole lot that you can't access on streaming platforms because they're mostly just in CD form. But when you look back at that, he was still very talented. Although maybe he wasn't as thoughtful, he was still very talented. And that made him good. But yeah, Kendrick Lamar, he's just been the guy. over the years, I feel like. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, please leave a thumbs up. And if you're looking forward to more of my content, subscribe and hit that bell so you'll be notified anytime I post a video. Thanks.